Good morning from the southeast hills of Eugene. Justin Lee Thayer, team Thayer.com to find homes in Oregon. Justin Lee Thayer on Twitter, Justin Lee Thayer on Instagram, Team Thayer Official. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll know that. Team Thayer Real Estate on Facebook. So, part two of the three-part series on the background or the process in which I acquired such a unique skill set in real estate, working with the investors, Wall Street chaps, and banks and the like. So, right, so after I got my broker's license, immediately within a few houses, I had my first few sales were listings. It's just another kind of an anomaly. It's something that doesn't happen often. Back then, I could just literally grab the register guard and start calling for sale by owners. Right? It just seemed like really easy to me at the time. I was really calibrated from the car business. I was really fresh on using the phone and kind of getting my way, if you will. And it was bam, bang, bam. I got three of them. Started just dropping in on open houses. Ran into my first investor, Mr. Lee Poindexter, who after a bit, I thought, man, it was out of my league what he was doing, and literally before I had got up and started to say my farewells, and hey, maybe someday we can work together. And the guy actually had to stop me, sit me down, and say, hey, hold on. I like what you're saying. I want to hire you. And I was in shock, right? I was barely in the business. I mean, I was just a few months in, and I've got, right? And I knew I had some skill sets. I knew I was good from the car business. I knew I'd sold advertising, and I knew I'd done a lot of things that gave me an advantage. And plus being a real estate investor, but my confidence just didn't lend me to believe that, right, what this guy was bringing on was something that he would even be interested in somebody new like myself. He didn't know how new I was, but I assumed I just had the confidence. So he sits me down, basically hires me, starts me off. We start off on this. I think the first one was this huge project downtown. Smelled like cat pee, just a mess, but ended up being a beautiful house. Just basically just put the irons in the fire, kind of like do or die. Just had to do it, right? I absolutely had no choice but to succeed. We got the job done. Did several other houses. I don't even know how many. And off that, I got confident and was approaching investors and approaching people to invest, and just was working mainly with investors. At that time, there were a few like short sales, but there was no foreclosure or REO business, even though I knew I wanted to get into it. But it just at the time, I just didn't even have time to think about it. So, what comes around that goes on until about 2008. 2007, where the market starts to crash on the East Coast, and I quickly learned market trends and kind of figured out, right, that it was gonna come to this area, and we were not protected, and it was crazy that everybody was so shocked, especially in the real estate industry, that the market completely crashed, because I knew it was coming, and was frantically trying to get banks to hire me, with not understanding that it's a whole different skill set, and there was a whole nother level of skills and things that you had to do and learn to even work for banks, and having none of that skills. So I filled out applications like crazy. Basically, back then you could still get a hold of somebody on the phone here and there if you got lucky, and got a hold of a guy working for Washington Mutual, Charlie Bogus, for some crazy reason, took a chance on me, and he hired me. Me kind of fluffing my way through, and not knowing that he didn't know. I didn't know that there was the amount of things that were different, even at the time. I don't know if he knew or not. He just was entertained by me. He just decided to give me a shot. He gave me a shot, and I absolutely had no idea what I was doing. Never even done a BPO. Right, I go and try and do the first BPO. He has to basically hold my hand and tell me how to do it right. A broker price opinion, it's one of the most basic things you can do in real estate, foreclosures or REO. And so Charlie, right, he was patient with me, but once I got to that first one, right, it paid off for him, right? I just did a bang up job. Everything he gave me, I got sold, done on time, closed on time. And just from there, I got a referral to a Chase asset manager and SBS servicing. And there were LPS. There were quite a few, and was just kind of kicking along. The market really started to crash, and the foreclosures just started rolling in. Right? They didn't have enough people with the skill sets. By then, I was just really good at it. Could handle things, knew where to fluff, knew where to skimp, knew where to focus, and was all in selling bank foreclosures or REOs. Was all in on the REO business. All the investors had either dropped out or lost on the tail end. I remember some of the investors lost on the tail end. I told them to stop. This was the time to stop. They didn't believe me. But the investors were pretty much all out at that point, and I was full in as an REO broker selling bank foreclosures to the bottom of the market. That whole market crash was super profitable for me. I was at the right place, the right time, did the right thing. I guessed it right, made the right decision on putting my eggs in that basket. I go all in when I do something, right? Because I'm pretty confident in what I do, and that paid off. So then, at that time, of course, we also learned short sales. Short sales are very important in that market. It's something that that I thought was good to know early on. I was like, any skill set's a good skill set to have. And so we were doing short sales and foreclosures to the bottom of the market and just really killing it, making a lot of money, building the business, building the empire that we have now. And all thanks to that market crash. I had heard later that, there were every crash, there's people on the opposite end, right? People who just take advantage. There were more millionaires born of the Great Depression, right, than almost any other time in the world. And I just was just trying to see what was coming and just do my job, but it really panned out. That's it for today. That's part 2. We'll get to part 3. We'll get into Wall Street and that kind of craziness and how I actually watched them manipulate the markets firsthand. Very interesting stuff. TeamThayer.com if you want to find listings. Justin Lee Thayer on Instagram. Justin Lee Thayer on Twitter. Check out the backyard here in the South East Hills. See you next time.